Okay, peeps, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about how much could potentially be made in BCHG in the upcoming bull run. Let's get it. So what do I mean when I say upcoming bull run? Well, it's pretty simple. As you guys know, Bitcoin has topped out. Well, let me rephrase what I just said. I don't think it's topped out, but it has hit the point where it is retesting highs and trying to turn that from resistance into support. We've gone over this in previous videos. Actually, I think we just did a Bitcoin video. So if you guys haven't seen that, go check it out. You'll see what I'm talking about. You can find that on the channel under the crypto playlist. Just go to that or go to uploads and you'll be able to find out where it is. But Bitcoin's previous all-time high in 2021 was 69K. Bitcoin's currently is 70K. The recent local top, I believe, was roughly around 74K. The point I'm trying to make about this is usually when Bitcoin tops out, the Bitcoin dominance shortly after that falls, and then alt season takes place. That's generally when we see the biggest moves on these grayscale trusts, which is the point that we're trying to get to here to maximize potential profits on the moves on BCHG, which I'm going to show you guys right now. So why is this a good time to talk about it? Well, it's pretty simple. As you guys can see, this is a perfect textbook resistance rejection. This thing did not turn into support up here, unfortunately. Kind of sucks, is what it is. So it came up, tried to test it, failed. And then, yeah, you guys see that we have this basically legendary drop right here. I mean, this thing is ridiculous. So from the candle open to the current candle body, you're talking about 33% drop. So that's pretty huge. And then from the wick high to the wick low, I mean, the drop is absolutely massive. It's about 43%. So we went from resistance to support much, much faster than I expected. But this move is not really surprising. I'm going to point this out to you guys. It's literally almost history on repeat. So as you guys can see, we did something very similar back here when we were about to touch this at that point, 530 to 580 resistance level. And we didn't quite get into that zone, but we got close to it. Then we got a rejection, and then we got a sell-off. Okay, very similar to what we see now, except the sell-off now is much more immediate. But the point I want to make here is the drawback was roughly about the same percentage. So as you guys can see here, from wick high to wick low, from this week right here in December to this week over here in January, the move was roughly about 44% to the downside. We came back down, retested, well, not this support, but we came back down and retested kind of sort of this support, the trend line, the EMAs, so on. And then we just kind of slowly chopped up from there and then eventually had a breakout. And that's when we saw that big move all the way up to where we're at now. So 43% move from top to bottom here, 43% move from top to bottom here. Does this mean that we're going to go up? Well, if history is to repeat, we could just chop sideways, kind of chop up into this resistance, and then eventually, bang, we'll just pop straight out of it and go up to the next resistance up here between $43 to $60. But this is a perfect time to talk about this. So if you guys remember, when we did the ltcn video talking about how much you could make on the cycle, we mentioned something about a pullback to the $25 range. So I'm going to show you guys that right now. I was actually not expecting these to play out this quick. I was just saying this in anticipation of the move potentially happening. But the control bar that I told you guys about before here, which is also a major psychological level at about $50, that's the top of this fat red candle you see here. I told you guys that there's a likelihood that that could hold in the immediate short term, and it did. And we're creating what looks to be now like a tweezer top on the weekly. So I mentioned the idea of this and that there's a possibility that it could pull all the way back into this support zone. So we have not seen that move yet, but it's just a possibility. And then basically we told you guys like, hey, if it pulls back into 25, you'll increase the amount of percentage you'll make by like double or something like that, just by waiting for this pullback. And it looks like the pullback may be happening. We'll just have to wait and see on this on LTCN, but on BCHG for sure, this pullback did happen. So this is the perfect time to be talking about BCHG and what you could potentially make on this in the upcoming bull run. And when I say bull run, I mean the altcoin season that's going to happen once Bitcoin tops out, which generally doesn't happen until after the halving. So halving first, usually Bitcoin tops out by the end of the year. Then money flows from Bitcoin into altcoins. We see a breakdown in the Bitcoin dominance. And that's when these alts really start to fly. And these grayscale trusts should be flying with it, since they're technically funds that hold underlying altcoins. So let's zoom out here real quick. So we're going to throw on the fibs. And just because the top Fibonacci level says that it's supposed to stop at a certain point doesn't mean it has to stop there. It could actually go higher than the top fib level. That is possible. There's nothing saying that it can't go higher than the 4.236, but it's just a matter of time and will it actually happen or not, and we need to see it in evidence in the charts. So the first thing I want to point out here is the support that would be the ideal zone to buy at would be roughly around 1015 to 1270. That is the immediate support. We're very close to that. As a matter of fact, if I measure this, you guys can see that we're not far off. So we're about 4% to roughly about 23-24% to the bottom. So if you didn't want to take on too much risk and you're like, well, I don't really want to buy everything right now because it might go lower, well, okay, you could DCA, or you could just buy everything now thinking that this little wick down here at the bottom of this candle is indicative of a bounce coming up, and you may or may not be right on that. It's all based on probabilities. But I will tell you guys this: if this thing goes to $250 per share on BCHG, it's going to go, your money's going to go a lot further buying at $13.50 a share than it would be buying all the way up here at $23.50 a share. So the market has been very generous. Wasn't even sure we were going to get these pullbacks, to be honest. But I mean, a $10 pullback on BCHG is a massive, massive difference. I'm actually going to go ahead and show you guys the difference between buying three different amounts at 24 versus, we'll say 23.50 versus 13.50. So the top fib you guys can see here is $254. So let's do some math on this. So if your first initial investment was $1,000, that's it, just $1,000. It's not really that much for crypto. Yeah, okay, I actually did that wrong. So, okay, so give me a sec. So 250, let's redo this. So 250 divided by 23.50. So you get about a 10.6x. So if you put $1,000 into this, you get a 10.6x. $10,600. Okay, if you put 5,000 in, you would get roughly about 53K. And if you put 10,000 in, which is a lot, we don't even actually have 10,000 in these, you would get roughly about 106K. So before I go any further with that, I did want to tell you guys, so looking here at the portfolio, as you guys can see, the shares of BCHG, we do have a little bit less shares. There's some pending activity here. So what exactly happened? Well, basically, because the market's dumping and it dumps so aggressively that we're just not sure if it's even going to stop at $10 to $12, which I think it is, but we decided to go ahead and pull out the initial investment that we have in BCHG, and keep in mind we can turn around and put this money right here into anything, and it could do a 10-20x. It doesn't necessarily have to be BCHG, but we do still have all of the house's money, so to speak, in BCHG. This is what's known as a buy and hedge strategy. So if BCHG goes lower than the current support at $10, we can simply use this little bit of money here to buy back in at lower prices, or we can buy something else that's cheap right now, like HSN or even Zcash or something like that. So we pretty much de-risked our position by just taking the initial investment off the table, playing with the house's money, so to speak, and just leaving it at that. The cost basis doesn't change. It's still $4. We still have quite a bit of money invested. If it does a 60x goes to $250. Obviously, we're still going to make a lot of money. I think a 60x times 4,000 is, or I mean, well, hold on a sec. So a 60x times the initial investment, which I believe is 1,800. So it says 1,250, but it's not 1,250 because if we're taking out profit, then the initial investment would still be 1,800. But I'm not sure why it calculates it like that. So as you guys can see, we're still going to make a lot of money. Doesn't matter, even if we took the initial investment out. So that's kind of the point of that. But it's basically just a buy and hedge. So we can either throw the money back into other grayscale trusts or back into BCHG, assuming it comes lower. Now, as for LTCN, we're not going to sell out of LTCN. That's our plan, just to simply hold it because we think it has a lot more potential. Plus, we also have a lot more money in this. So now going back to the charts, let's do a difference in comparison here. So we'll go over the numbers one more time. So you have 10,600, 53,000, 106,000 at, what was it, 23.50, I believe. So now we'll do the numbers for the current price, which is 13.50. And you guys are going to see this today because we're actually going to post this evening. So let's go over these numbers now. So 250 divided by the current price, which again is a $10 per share discount. I mean, that's in 1 week. Like this thing has come down so fast. I'm not really honestly even that sure it's going to stay down. I mean, this is a pretty large dip. Anybody that is looking to buy the dip is going to buy something that drops by $10 in a week, especially when it was just at $23. It's not a suggestion for you guys to buy, but I'm just saying anybody that's been in finance for a while, they're going to take one look at this, understand how the crypto space works. The halving's coming up. We haven't seen the alt season yet based on the Bitcoin dominance, which I can show you guys in a minute. And they're gonna buy up the dip most likely. So pretty much just by buying at the current price versus the previous price, which is a $10 difference, instead of a 10.6x, you're looking at an 18.5x. So you're already getting another 800% potential gain just by buying at the current prices. So we're going to do the same numbers again. So this is going to be 1,000 times 18.5. You can see it's 18.5K. 5K times 18.5. 92, basically 92 and a half. And then 10K times 18.5. 185K. Now, let's just say, for example, that it does something really ridiculous and I don't know, let's just say that it goes to $500 a share. I mean, that's possible, but we would need to see it get to 250 first to actually see this happen. You guys are going to see how much more even ridiculous this gets. So 13.5. So you basically get a 37x on your money. I mean, easy math here. So 1,000 times 37, 37K. 5,000 times 37, 185K. And then 10,000 times, let's see, what was this? Times 37. You guys can see it's 370K. And for those of you guys that don't believe this is possible, I'm actually going to show you guys some charts to let you know that this is indeed possible. Okay, so we're going to start with BCHG first. Since we're already talking about this, we're going to go back to the bear market low. As you guys can see, the bear market low on this thing at the bottom of this range was roughly around 31 cents. Okay, think about that. This thing at the bear market lows was at 31 cents. And it topped out most recently at $23.50. And keep in mind, according to the crypto bull market cycles, we're actually not supposed to be in the bull market yet because that's not supposed to happen until after the halving, which happens next week. So we'll do this divided by 31 cents. I mean, guys, BCHG has already gone up from the low to the recent wick high here, 76x. Okay. So it is absolutely possible that BCHG could still do another 37x from here. And BCHG, basically um, from the bear market low back to the previous all-time high, which again, BCHG was only around towards the end, or well, I shouldn't say the end. It was around after the previous halving, so it wasn't even around for a full bear market, bull market cycle. But just to go from the previous, or from the bear market low to the previous high, as you guys can see, this is going to be absolutely insane. If you had bought down at 31 cents, let's just say you dropped in like 5K or something at 31 cents and it does go back to 60, which it's probably going to go even higher than that this cycle, especially if the spot Ether ETF gets approved. If that and the spot Bitcoin ETF gets approved, there's no telling how much money is going to flow into this thing. Just to get back to the highs, 193x. Okay. So there's a couple other coins I want to point out to you guys that just did absolutely insane returns, just to show you guys this is actually possible. Because a lot of you are probably looking at this thinking like, oh yeah, right, whatever. Like that's not going to happen, right? It's understandable to be skeptical. Okay, it is. But I'm going to show you guys some real proof here. So as you guys can see, the pandemic low here, Dogecoin was sitting at roughly about 1/10 of a penny. You can see the kind of support base formation down here, which is where we bought, was at 2/10 of a penny. Again, we were not invested in crypto before the pandemic. We didn't actually get in until after. So yeah, we kind of caught it a little bit late, but is what it is. All I can say is I wish we had bought more when it was at 2/10 of a penny, because I had no idea it was going to do this. So it went from 1/10 of a penny to, at the peak, 75 cents. Now keep in mind, this is a meme coin. Okay, this meme coin has zero value, zero use case, other than people just buying into it because it's funny, right? I mean, it's a meme. People find memes to be funny. So if we do the math on this, is 75 cents divided by 1/10 of a penny. You guys can see that Dogecoin did an insane, ridiculous 750x. I mean, that's crazy. Okay. So another coin that I want to point out to you guys that also did a very massive move, one that we don't actually talk about that much, is Ethereum. So I want to point out to you guys, and this is the number 2 crypto. So at the bottom of the pandemic dump, Ethereum was worth about $90 a token. Okay. Roughly about $90. This thing, and the spot Ether ETF wasn't even being talked about at this time. It wasn't even being talked about. There was no burn mechanism, none of that. It was just Ether. It was just Ether. That's it. It went from $90 to $48.50. So again, do the math on this. $90 divided by 48.50, a 54x on the number 2 crypto. So there's another token that I want to show you guys that we're actually invested into. We have quite a bit of money in it as of currently. One of the reasons we're so bullish on it is because it hasn't really started to run yet. But as you guys can see again, at the low here, Filecoin was at $2.40. And by the time it got up to its cycle peak, which is pretty far up there, I mean, you almost can't even see it. That's $237 per token. So this thing did almost essentially a 100x. So we divide this by 240, the cycle low, as you guys can see here, nearly a 99x. And this was a token at that time that was not super high on the market cap of the leaderboard, so to speak, for the cryptocurrencies, but it did eventually get like way up there, and it is still up there now. So another one that I want to point out to you guys that did exceptionally well in the previous bull cycle, just to kind of reiterate my point on BCHG and ltcn, to say that this is actually possible. This can happen. This $250 price target for BCHG, or even higher than that, and 2,300 for a top on ltcn, or maybe even higher than that at this point, we really don't know. It is possible. So the bear market pandemic low, as you guys can see here, mana went to roughly about, we'll just call that 2 cents a token. Okay. So on the first peak, this thing hit nearly $1.66. we'll do some simple math on that. We'll say 166 divided by 2 cents. I believe that's like an 80x. So yeah, this thing on the first peak did an 83x from the bottom. But if we go over here to the second peak where the metaverse was actually being talked about, I mean, just look at this thing. It's absolutely ridiculous. So this thing topped out at $6.10 per token. And once again, the bear market low was 2 cents. That's a 300x on something that nobody was talking about, nobody was looking about. Guys, just imagine this for a second. I shouldn't say if, when the crypto bull run does start coming about and, Google Trends starts saying, oh, the search term for crypto and Bitcoin and altcoins is going to the moon. And we've showed you guys this in the previous Bitcoin video that we just did. If you guys didn't see that, go look. We showed you this. Those trends are sitting pretty close to the lows, which means retail has not entered the space yet. But at some point, everybody and their brother and everybody that they know, media, best friend, whatever, college alumni that you haven't talked to for 10 years is going to be hitting you up, asking you about LTCN and BCHG. And everybody and their brother is going to want to know about it. And by then, you would have already bought in cheap. And of course, the price would have went up substantially by then. That's how you know that crypto is starting to get frothy. We are not even close to that point. So my point is, we're still very early in this, and the potential for these things to the upside is absolutely massive. And I mean massive. I might even be underestimating just how massive these moves are. So once again, we did cover this in the Bitcoin video, I believe. If not, we have covered it during some of the Grayscale videos. So the point I'm trying to make here is, as you guys can see, pretty much when the Bitcoin dominance goes up, Bitcoin dominates the markets. Most of the money is going into Bitcoin, but when it drops off a cliff like this, as you can see all this red here, that indicates that money has flowed from Bitcoin to altcoins, which is when the biggest moves for the Grayscale Trust are likely to happen. Once again, we have not seen that. Okay, Bitcoin dominance has just been straight up since the bear market low. We have not seen a breakdown and flow into altcoins yet. But when we do, which I suspect might start sometime around May or June, if this is an accelerated cycle, this is something we talked about. If it is an accelerated cycle based on Bitcoin already being at highs before the halving, we could see the bull market top by the end of the year. That is one scenario if that is to happen. And the spot ETF is to be approved in May, which again, BlackRock has a filing for that. We all know that BlackRock is notorious for getting theirs approved. We could see a breakdown in dominance sometime around May and June, which is when the alts are going to start popping off like stupid amounts of gains. And then we could see the top play out after the halving sometime before the end of the year. Hopefully not. Hopefully it lasts till the end of next year, but we'll have to see. But just consider that to be a possibility. So once again, Bitcoin dominance going up. We're pushing against resistance. It looks like BTC dominance actually even wants to go higher. So again, until we get the breakdown of the dominance, the altcoin season is still not here, which indicates, again, you're very early, and the upside to these trusts, BCHG and ltcn, could be, the gains could be stupid. Let's just put it like that. It could be way more than even what I'm telling you guys. We just don't know yet. So anyways, this is our video on BCHG. Hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.